Hello and welcome to Ditch the Dogma, the live show with Paula Marie Davis. I am so excited to have a conversation today with an amazing woman that I met in a networking group. Her name is Lisa, and she has been in the massage industry for decades. She comes with a wealth of information, and I promise you, you will get her. She resonates with every single person that she meets. Her energy is live. It's welcoming. She's beautiful, and she knows a lot about taking care of ourselves. Today's episode is all about figuring out how we can nurture self-care. There's self-care that heals us, and there's self-care that can kind of numb us. They're both can be good, but we have to look at the motivation and the intention behind them both. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome Lisa to the screen so that she can tell you a little bit about herself. And let's get this show going. Oh, you know what, Lisa? Hang on one second. Before we do, I'm going to play my little intro and then we'll get going. So here we go. Welcome back to Ditch the Dogma. Lisa, I am so excited that you're here. Can you tell us a little bit about you? And then maybe we can talk a little bit about how we met.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here too. So I've been a massage therapist for 19 years. So it's the only career I've ever had. I've always worked at spas. So that's kind of, the spa is like my spirit animal. But once I became a mom, I was a stay-at-home mom. And when I tried to go back to work, I realized that working for someone else's schedule on someone else's time didn't really work for me. So I branched out on my own, and I'm building up my massage business as a massage therapist for moms. And here I am.
Thank you for that. So I'm very privileged to be in a networking group for women that Lisa is in, and it's called WISOS. It's Women Entrepreneurs Secrets of Success. Oh my gosh, that is a mouthful, right?
Yes.
But that is how I met you. And what I love about meeting women in networking groups is that we meet a lot of different people. Every once in a while, you meet somebody who's like, oh my God, she gets me. She gets where I'm coming from. She understands the kind of business that I want to build. And this is a woman that I would enjoy spending an evening with. And when I met you from the get-go, I was overwhelmed by your warmness and your heart and your energy. And of course, I was able to come and take a couple of sessions with you. You're talented beyond words. I mean, I just come out of a session with you and I feel like $1 million.
Yeah.
But what does it mean to you to be able to empower women to do the work that you do? The name of your business is Zen Massage Therapy for Moms. I mean, you really have narrowed in on that. So tell me a little bit about why empowering women, specifically mothers, is so important to you. And let's take it off from there.
Yeah, well, like I said, I've been doing massage therapy for 19 years. And before I had my own child, I would always tell women how important it was to take care of themselves and then, to prioritize their self-care and to get regular massages, of course, right? But once I became a mom myself, I realized how nearly impossible that seemed. I was a stay-at-home mom. My husband worked 2 jobs, still does. And I was just alone with the baby all the time. And I was like, it's isolating, and I didn't take care of myself. If I was home alone, I barely fed myself. My husband would come home from work and he would feed me, And so I was like, it's so hard for moms to take care of themselves. And no one ever really talks about that. Everyone always talks about how rewarding it is to be a parent. And it is, but you kind of lose yourself. You definitely lose yourself. And I felt like that wasn't really a conversation that I've ever heard before. And so I wanted to bring that forward and just really work on targeting moms and realize that they deserve to be taken care of. They need to be taken care of.
As a mom myself, for those of you who are just getting to meet me, I have 5 kids. They're all 20 somethings. But yeah, I totally get that, because when we're taking care of everybody else, it's
Yeah.
really hard for us to remember to take care of ourselves. We feel
Mhm.
like we don't have enough time, we don't have the resources, whatever the reasons might be. And the reasons are usually pretty good, right? I mean, we
Mhm.
have really good reasons why we put ourselves
Last.
down at kind of the bottom, last
Yeah. Yeah.
on the bottom of that list.
Mhm.
So this is a great opportunity for us to kind of start having our conversation about self-care. So
Mhm.
moms, all women, entrepreneurs, whatever you're doing, I don't care if you're a rock climber, whatever, wall climber, we all need to pay attention to our own needs and to find time for self-care for ourselves. And I think lots of times, I know for me, occasionally, I love a good Cabernet. I love to go and find a new series on Netflix. I'm
Yeah.
not going to fib here.
Mhm.
I do all the things that everybody else does, but
Yeah.
I also know that there's a difference between having 90 minutes with you working on my lymphatic system and
Mhm.
waking it up and getting out of that sluggish state, both physically and emotionally and
Mhm.
spiritually and all the other things, that I don't necessarily get that from the glass of wine or the binging out at Netflix. And I
Right.
was asking a friend of mine, a woman, Marin,
Oh,
who
yeah.
we know from
Yeah.
our
She's awesome.
networking group. Yeah,
Mhm.
she is amazing.
She is.
And Marin said to me, she said, did it think about self-care not as necessarily good and bad, but to think about it in terms of the intention behind it.
Mhm.
If you have had, if you've knocked things out of the park for the week and you've been so busy and you did all the things and you love a good glass of Cabernet,
Mhm.
by all means, have a wonderful glass of Cabernet and be
Mhm.
relaxed and be in the moment, like be present, like smelling that I don't know wine talk, but
Yeah.
smelling the aroma.
The
I don't know.
bouquet. I
The
don't know.
bouquet. There
The
we go. I
nose. I
learned
think it's
something.
the I think
The
it's the
nose.
nose. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Maybe.
So, I've got my cup and I'm sniffing it and the fire is going and I'm
Mhm.
seeing all the colors of the fire and I'm really present. That's a whole different deal.
Yeah.
So, first things first, let's talk about how do we get women to prioritize self-care,
Mhm.
and let's talk a little bit. I started my series with this whole new year, new you narrative.
Yeah.
And everybody who's been on the show, we all equally agree that there's no magical unicorn that appears and all of a sudden you become a different person.
No.
And that the wellness industry, in some ways, is talking more to our wallets than it's talking to our bodies and our hearts and our minds. We're entering into February. So, of course, it's the month of love. And we hear a lot about self love, self love. Again, the wellness industry trying to pull us into those things that maybe, aren't necessarily for us, but more to generate income, consumerism, and all of those types of things. So, can you give me a little bit of an idea of how you address that with your clients, with yourself?
Mhm.
Like, how do you prioritize your own self-care?
Mhm.
And what does it look like from an intentional perspective? What are you trying to achieve with your self-care?
Yeah. Yeah, and I was thinking about self-care yesterday and what you said, where you were saying about like numbing yourself and zoning
Mhm.
out. Does self-care need to be healthy to count as self-care? I once heard a definition of self-care as anything that makes you feel more like yourself.
Mm.
And I
I like
really
that.
love I like that too. It doesn't encompass all aspects of it. For example, sometimes I feel like going to work is self-care for me because when I'm giving someone a massage, it does make me feel like myself. So I'm like, sometimes this is my self-care. Majority of the time, no, it's work, but you know what I mean? And so to help moms prioritize their self-care, or women, it's all about mindset. I know that a lot of women feel guilt around taking time for themselves, especially
Mhm.
taking time away from their kids, spending the money, if they're doing something that costs money. They feel all this guilt. about it. And I think it just all comes back to mindset. You have to shift how you think about it and how you think about yourself and making yourself a priority.
I'm sorry, I was messing with the buttons there.
It's okay.
I understand where you're coming from, and I know in my own life I tend to kind of run on that, that roller coaster where I'm like, go, 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 go. And then I'm down, 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 down. Right.
Yeah,
And
you're
I'm trying
exhausted.
to exhausted and trying to find that balance. I know that when I prioritize my self-care in a way that that elevates not just like checking off the box, I
Mm-hmm.
got a massage, checking off the box, I don't know, whatever. I worked out. I went and I worked out. I sat in the sauna. I did the things. There's a big difference for me when I'm doing that from a place of, instead of checking off the box, it's the person I want to be. It's the life's work that I want to do. And
So it's
that
like the
when
end goal for you.
excuse me?
Is it like the end goal for you?
Yeah, it's the end goal. And
Who you
so
want to
for
become?
me, when I'm not taking care of myself, the likelihood that I'm moving in the direction of my life's work is probably kind of
Mm-hmm.
slim to none.
Mm-hmm.
And as a mom, I would say to myself, well, I'm doing all of this for my kids. I'm dragging myself. I'm tired. I'm not eating. And I'm, maybe having ice cream at night or whatever,
Yeah.
because my focus is 100% on them. And when they were little, I don't want to say that it was like a fairy tale for myself, but it sort of was. Because as they got older, I realized, well, gosh, I was so exhausted that I couldn't always show up as the mom that I was really capable of being. And if I had taken that time for my self-care that at that moment seemed selfish and maybe a waste of money, that I actually would have been able to really be the mom that I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
And not only mothering them, but in also mothering them, I'm mothering myself. And I'm showing them an example of what it looks like to do all the things and to do them better, because I'm not yelling and screaming and exhausted and circles under my eyes and all of that. Would you agree?
Yeah, I definitely feel that. When my daughter was about 6 months old, I realized, well, I didn't realize I was exhausted. I had known for a long time that I was exhausted, but I woke up every day and I had a full night's sleep. By the time she was 6 months old, she was sleeping through the night. But I kept waking up and I didn't want to move. I couldn't get out of bed. And I was like, I don't want to be the kind of mom that can't play with my kid, or that's always telling my child, oh, mommy's too tired, or mommy has a headache, or mommy doesn't feel good. I wanted to be there for her. And so for me, that looked like changing how I ate, because the foods that I was eating was really just making me really sluggish and not able to function. But what you were saying about being intentional with the path that your life is on, I don't know how many moms necessarily have like intentions or goals for their life. So many of them are just trying to get through the day, right?
Mhm.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, how do we address that? Not everybody has these big goals and intentions for their day. I mean, I suppose we could talk about how, maybe if they started really taking a minute to think about what they wanted out of their life, and if you stop and think about how you want to feel every day and how you want to show up, maybe start making intentions.
I definitely think that, yes, I had 5 kids under the age of 10 at one point in my life. Okay.
That's a lot.
I was not waking up saying, today's the day
No.
that I'm going to accomplish A, B, and C. I was like, please, God, let me survive the day. Help
Survival
me
mode.
get through it. Thriving was like, no, that's not happening. This is survival mode. But when I look back on it now, and this is why I think it's so important. I have, like I told you, I have a bunch of 20 somethings. I talk to my kids all the time that women of all ages and all experiences need to come together, Because when I was that young mom, and I was in I was a later young mom, I was in my late 30s by the time I had my fifth kid. Started late having children. I was maybe I was 30 by the time I had Zachary. So I have 5 kids in 8 years time. And most of my friends were all in that same kind of hustle, right? We were all just like, oh my God, get to the park. Just get to the park was the goal, right? So we could have a couple minutes of peace. But I wish I had had more older women in my life. I wish I would have had, because I would have like, oh, they don't get me. They don't understand, but they do because they've been there.
They've been through
and then they've been through it. And I wish I would have had somebody who would have been able to say, hold on. Yeah, I get it. It's crazy. It's a wild ride right now. But making time for you is loving your children better. Making time for you will make you a better mother, a better wife. Like,
absolutely.
Isn't it true that when we're taking care of our kids, it's not uncommon for our relationships to kind of back off, right? Because we're like, hey, dude, I barely have time for them. And now you want me to be all
happy,
cute. Okay, all happy. Yeah. I was thinking sexy, but even
happy. Yeah, in a good mood.
Even
happy to see you
in a good right.
Yeah.
And then what I think is really interesting, because I don't want to just keep talking. I mean, I love talking about being a mom, but there are probably women that are listening to this that maybe aren't moms. And it's still women in general. Our lives are crazy. We're trying to do all the things. And even from a entrepreneurial perspective, you and I hang out with a lot of women that have very just huge dreams and want to go out and want to change the world, want to have impact, want to make a difference. Well, if you're not taking care of your self-care, that impact, that difference that you want to create, that you want to build, that is your baby. Heck, we're birthing it, right? Whether we birth from the womb or we birth from creativity, for women, it's still an act of birth. So how do we take care of ourselves? And I'd like to talk a little bit, if you don't mind. Could you share some of the self-care practices that you like and that you bring into your day? Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Well, I go to the chiropractor every week.
Good. I love that one.
To keep my spine healthy, because, again, I'm doing massage for 19 years. And I've also had I've had headaches for my whole life, which is why I really love helping women with their tension headaches in my practice. So chiropractor every week for my neck and my spine to keep that healthy. I exercise and I do yoga and cycling. And what I love about that is, to get back to like zoning out with self-care, sometimes it looks like you said, mindlessly drinking a glass of wine and watching TV maybe. But when I work out, if I'm doing yoga, I am totally like focused in on my body and getting through the next pose and what I need to do next. And then when I'm finished with that class, I'm like, oh my God, I just kind of shut my brain off for the last half hour. And I feel good too. So that's really helpful for me. And let's see, I love to go to the spa. So whenever I can, I do that. And those are my big ones. I love to read. I read every night when my daughter's watching TV. She likes to cuddle next to me. And so I read my book and she watches her, whatever she watches. So that's what it looks like for me.
You mentioned a couple of things that we've been talking about, this idea of bringing intention into the choices that you're making for your self-care. Yeah. For me, and my whole premise is I want women to figure out how to do wellness, to seek wellness in a way that actually serves them, that it's personalized to them, that it's not this cookie cutter, it's not checking off boxes. It's really something that is created, cultivated for you. So that when you do your yoga, I love that you do it with such intention that you're
well, it's hard.
It's hard. Yeah.
It is hard. You really got to focus.
You really got to focus. And here's the other thing too, when you bring breath to movement, such a difference, because there have been times when I went to a yoga class where I was like, okay, like the kids are, I remember I used to be a member at Lifetime Fitness years and years and years ago. So the kids would be at the daycare at Lifetime, right? And I would be in my yoga class. And I was just like so excited that I had an hour that I didn't have to deal with them. But in my movement, I was still thinking about all the things I had to do. Like, oh my God, as soon as I get out of here, I have to be at these 3 places.
Yeah.
Or,
well, then, and you have your phone next to you, next to your yoga mat, in case the daycare has to call you that your kid needs you for something.
Well, that's the really sad part. Right? I think I was at Lifetime such a long time ago that I didn't have a phone. Yeah, no, that's the
well, that's what
a little different. But yeah, I get it, you know, that you have your phone, you're waiting for daycare to call you and say, sorry, but so-and-so's crying and won't stop, and you need to leave your yoga class and get your butt back down there and pick him up, right?
Yeah.
But the idea of being in the moment and having our breath, again, that's when self-care becomes more nurturing. And when we nurture that level of self-care, we find we get a little taste of healing. And over time, those little bits and pieces add up.
Totally.
And really, that's what makes a difference. And that's what I want for women. I want them to find the self-care practices that don't feel like check boxes. Like, hey, if you hate X, Y, and Z, but you think it's a great self-care practice, more than likely, it's not going to feel so nurturing. Would you agree?
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah. You definitely don't do something that you don't like. I mean, I definitely think that doesn't count as, you know, a good form of self-care. And I think another thing too is that you have to have some level of body awareness to like what does your body need, or even your mind, like what does your mind need? And, you know, I don't know that everyone is able to like stop and tune in to what their body needs in that day, in that moment for their self-care. And I think that's something that also takes practice. And you have to, again, be intentional. You have to maybe just stop, spend some time and figure out, how am I feeling? What do I need today or in this moment?
I love that you bring that up, because what I want women especially to learn, men too, but women in general, is this idea that our body tells us what it needs. If we'll just get quiet enough to really listen. Yeah. And sometimes, you know, not being able to sleep at night, for instance, okay, may not necessarily be, I need to get to Whole Foods and find the melatonin supplement that will do it for me. It may be, I need to quiet down my monkey mind, right?
Yeah.
It might be, I haven't moved my body in several days other than to chase like after kids and do that kind of survival kind of activity instead of bringing breath into it. And I really think that if we can look at self-care really intentionally for the month of February, we're talking about love, right? Everything in February is about self-love and about loving ourselves. And if we can bring this level of intention to our self-care for the entire month of February, could you imagine what difference that would? And I wonder too, we talked a little bit about, you know, bringing this into our day, being more centered, being more aware. Do you think that women struggle with, I don't know what to do for self-care? Or do you think that they have a laundry list of things they should be doing and they're just not doing it?
I think it's both. Yeah, I think, like I said, some women just don't even know how to tune into what they need. Some don't even know where to start, whether it's because they felt like they've never even had an opportunity to take some time and think about, oh, what do I need for my self-care today? Or, sorry, I had a pop-up. I lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
What was the question?
You were talking about whether or not women know what they need and how to find it. Like if someone's feeling really frazzled and they want to bring more self-care into their life, how do they find the routines? How do they find what will resonate with them?
Right. Well, I know for me, I listen to a lot of podcasts and I read a lot of personal development books. I find a topic that interests me. I can't read personal development books. That's one thing that I don't take the time to do, but I listen to them. So every time I'm in the car or if I'm folding laundry, I'm listening to something about like how to manage my stress or how to be a better mom or whatever. And that nourishes my mind. It also gives me ideas.
Mm-hmm.
There's this one book called Big Magic, which I love,
Oh,
by
I love that
Elizabeth
book.
Gilbert.
Yes, I have it on my
Yeah,
shelf. I love it.
it's so good. I've listened to it twice.
Okay.
But yeah, that's all. So that, finding a great book like that will help you maybe tune into the things that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
I have a friend who one day she was like, people always talk about their passions, and I don't think I'm passionate about anything. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, that's fair. But, you could, I suppose, if you wanted to, find something that you're passionate about. And, for me, like I said, it's a lot of what I listen to, a lot of what I consume. I try to nourish myself that way. And that's where I get a lot of ideas from. You could just Google self-care ideas
No.
and find something that resonates with you. It looks different for everybody.
I totally agree. And I love that. Well, first of all, Big Magic, big fan. Absolutely love that book. And I think that the conversation that you were having with your friend, it makes me really curious because I think a lot of women today, so much has happened in the last several years with technology and that everything's just constantly on, right? So we're constantly being bombarded by messaging. We're trying to raise our kids, and we're living in a world that is politically divided, and there's not a whole bunch of like the month of love, like, come on everybody, let's love each other, let's have some compassion during that month, because it's been kind of crazy. It doesn't surprise me that a woman would think, gosh, I don't know if I have any passions. And I wonder if that's because she's so busy being passionate for everyone else. She's so busy taking care of everyone else
She
that
definitely
to
does
be
that.
passionate, to be passionate, you have to be like, you have to be present, and you have to have some sense of purpose.
You have to
And
tune into yourself too. A
yeah,
lot a
yeah,
lot of people don't even like take time to just sit there and like tune into what they want out of life. And then a lot of times what you want out of life turns into your passion, right?
exactly. And the things that we're busy, the things that like we are like, how are you doing? Oh, I'm so busy. 90% of the time, that's
Yeah.
not your passion.
No.
It's just not. Those are the things you're doing. And it might have it might have a little touch on like, there's things I have to do for my live show that keep me busy. Um, but if all I did was focus on that busy work, I would be paralyzed by all that it entails to do a show like this, to come out and not be afraid, and to put my opinions out there into the world. And the same thing is said about, when we're constantly taking care of everybody else. And I say that a lot, having kids like you and a big family, and then trying to be a business person. There was a long time where I was like, what is it? What's my purpose? I'm a cook. I'm a cleaner. I chase after people. I do what's important to
Got to keep
them.
up with the laundry and the dishes
Yeah.
and the shopping and the appointments, the doctor's appointments, the vet appointments, walk the dog, all
And
the
then
things.
it's like, can I find my kid's purpose? Like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I need to make sure that my kids are going to this class and to that class,
Oh,
and they're getting this
yes.
experience. And it's really easy. I think at one time I told one of my kids, I don't have a favorite color. I don't
Oh
have a
no.
favorite music. I don't, because when I would get in the car, it was like, Little Bill and, what was a Caillou used to drive me
I
nuts.
don't know. Oh,
Oh,
I never even
oh,
introduced Caillou to my kid. I was like,
oh,
I'm not even going there.
good for you. Good for you.
Yeah. Yeah. She never knew
And so,
Caillou.
yeah, that's such a gift. But you get in the car and it's Disney music, it's
Yeah.
whatever they're into, you're going to their things, and we can forget what it means to be something other than busy, to really figure out what we are passionate about. And I want that for women. I want that for me. I want that for you. I want that for all women. And so the work that we do, this podcast, why you do the work you do with your clients, why I do the work I do with mine, is so that women can actually have passions, to
Yeah.
have things that they're excited about. Big Magic for me, and I always talk about this book. There's a point where Elizabeth Gilbert talks about idea magic, and that when you have an idea, so any lady, any woman who's listening to this right now, you got to find this chapter. It talks about how spirit gives us ideas, but they give them to us for an indefinite period of time. And it might be one day, it might be 10 years. Only spirit knows what that's going to be. But at some point in time, if you don't move the trigger on it, if you don't pull, I guess you don't pull the trigger, then that idea, spirit finds somebody else to bring it to fruition.
Yeah, someone else who will do it.
Someone else who will do it. So that's why it's so important that women, all women, I don't care if you're 18 years old or 88, be passionate about the ideas you have. Put them out into the world, because spirit gave it to you for a reason.
Absolutely.
And it's that reason that possibly that reason that you were created. And this really, and I know I sound cuckoo because this is what I love to talk about, but this brings me back full circle to why self-care, the type that's nurturing, really, really matters. And you mentioned reading books. I love doing that. Audible is a great tool for people on the road all the time. One of my new little quirky things is playing with ChatGPT. And so this morning,
Yeah, you like
I have to be
Yeah.
really careful of the thumbs up because it does crazy things on my screen. But so I did a prompt this morning and I put it into ChatGPT, and I will share it on my social feeds for anybody who's interested in it. And I told ChatGPT that it was a wellness expert and that it specialized in empowering women and helping them find wallet-friendly self-care practices that would resonate with them. And then I went so far as to say, I'm 57, I'm a mom of 5. I do the work that I do. I explained that. I said that my free pockets of time are generally in the morning and in the evening. And I have 1 hour that is my lunchtime that is sacred to me. And so there's that time too. I went into this prompt and I said, I love being creative. I love writing. I love being outdoors as much as being indoors. But that lately I've had a little anxiety with, making decisions and not being able to, make them quickly, that fast decision making, that I haven't been sleeping so great, and that my right hip has been hurting me. I mean, I really got all detailed into this prompt and sent it out. And I was amazed. It came back with morning practices, afternoon, evening practices, things I could do during the lunch hour. I also told it I wanted my practices to be less than 10 minutes. So everything it gave me was under 10 minutes.
That's awesome.
And yeah, and I'm like, there are so many resources for women out there that are at their fingertips on their computer that they can literally curate a self-care routine that meets them right where they're at, whether they like reading or don't like reading or journaling or whatever. So I'm going to share that on my social feed so everybody can play with it and see what they generate. And I hope that when you guys use it, if you use it, that you'll share your responses back, whatever AI generated for you in the group, so we can kind of see it. So let's get back a little bit to, it's February, it's the month of love, and we need to take care of ourselves. In your experience, what are the things, like, I'm a fan of dry brushing.
Oh, yeah.
In addition to dry brushing, what are the tools that you would suggest that, maybe are a little bit more budget friendly, things that we can do at home? And then also what type of massage therapies, because there's so many things that massage can address.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Well, some things that you can do low cost. Stretching, really just movement at home, go out for a walk, even like when you get home from work, just do some stretching, because, a lot of people have chronic pains from their job, and then they get home and they're making dinner, they're doing laundry or driving their kids where they need to go. If you can just take 5 or 10 minutes and stretch out the areas that are tight or causing you trouble. There's one yoga pose that I always recommend. It's called supported fish. And it's when you lay on top of your yoga blocks and it supports your upper back, and you're just lay down. So it's really relaxing. It's zero effort, but then it opens everything up if you're someone who is at a computer all day. And, just things like that is what I tell my clients. That's really important. Another thing that I love is if you have like a tennis ball or like some kind of ball at home, and if you just lean against the wall with the ball in between your body and the wall and roll it around, it can really like break up those tight spots for you. Think just, simple things like that. And there are plenty of like self-massage tools at Target even, that's not expensive. So that's what I tell people to try.
That's great. I have always, or I shouldn't say always, but lately I've been really dealing with like the whole tech neck, because you're constantly doing this thing. So I am constantly reminding myself to drop my shoulders and to take my chin and just push it back, push my head back, and do all the things. So
and that's a body awareness thing too. Like some people go through their whole day and they don't even realize that they're forward and they're like this. So that says a lot, that if you can, every 10 or 20 minutes, if you set an alarm on your phone, even just to remind you to like, how am I sitting? Oh, let's sit up, or let's put a little bit of arch in my back, in my low back, so that I'm not like hunched forward. Yeah, sorry.
That's why I like working with you, because you have a great knowledge and you're able to let us know, that our pelvis isn't in alignment and that our shoulders are whacked, and become more aware. I think self-awareness is so, so important when it comes to our well-being. And that's why, again, listening to your body is so important. I do use the balls, massage balls. And my little trick for anybody is, like, I have tight hips. I'll lay on the floor and I will put it, right where it hurts. So if it hurts to be there, that's generally my body saying that this is tight. And then I will just lay on there, take a deep breath, inhale to the count of 4 and get long. And then on the down regulating breath, that exhale to a count of 8, and then just letting the body fall into the ball and then relax it. And I know very little about fascia and all of that, but by giving the fascia that opportunity on that exhale to kind of relax, you're making, if you do that every night, you can make some big strides, and then follow it up with a trained professional, go to get massage, go to a chiropractor, do all those types of things. And you'll really be able to feel better in your skin and get to know your body a little bit better, so that when your chin is sticking out, you don't have to walk past the mirror in order to notice it. You actually feel it.
Yeah, a foam roller is a really great tool for that too, with your hips and your low back. I mean, you can roll up and down your spine if you have back pain. Another thing to consider too is, if you tune into your body and you're feeling like, say, I'm feeling pain in my upper shoulders because I'm hunched forward at a computer, or I'm holding a baby all day, or breastfeeding, or whatever, you need to focus on the opposite side of your body. So if your upper back is tight because everything is forward, you need to work on stretching out the front of your body. And it's not something that you think about because you want to focus on where the pain is. But, even if you just give it a try, like working on the opposing muscles, that can provide even more relief, because the opposing muscles might be causing the problem and you're just feeling it in a different spot.
That is such a great reminder. And I hope anybody who's listening to this really think about that. I love that, what Lisa said, the pain. We always think that what's hurting is the problem.
Yeah.
And generally, even in life, like you get mad at your husband because he quote unquote left the socks, or you're mad at your kids because of whatever, a poor grade or something. We don't care about the grades. We're not worried about the sock. It's really some other issue, and probably something that we're struggling with ourselves more than our husband or our kids.
And the sock triggered it.
And it triggered it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love talking to you. Oh, one other thing I recently did. I didn't mean to slap my hands. I do that in front of the mic all the time. I went to you for a cupping session, and I've done cupping for my body. And recently I did cupping for my face. And Oh my God. It was amazing. I feel like everything's smooth and back where it
Yes.
belongs.
Mhm.
So can you talk to us a little bit about some of the practices that you specialize in
Oh,
for
yeah.
women who are in the Chicagoland area who might want to come and visit with you
Mhm.
and lay on your table,
Mhm.
and tell them a little bit about cupping, because I am all for like I'm almost 60 years old. I want to look and feel my best. And I like doing it from like a place of holistic,
Mhm.
natural, and cupping. I am just like blown away by what it can do.
Yeah, cupping is super fun. And what's interesting to me about it is I spent so many years, like 19 years now, pushing into people's tight muscles and into their fascia. And what cupping does is the actual opposite thing, right? It pulls everything out. So if you get a massage with cupping, you're getting like a whole, like, I want to say 360 service. Like you're getting the pressure because everybody likes the pressure, but then you're also getting the reverse pressure that's pulling everything out. So cupping is great if you just have like really chronic areas that are kind of sticky and stuck, and maybe you've tried everything, stretching and massage, and it's still kind of stuck there. Cupping can really help you with that. One of my favorite things to work on for women is their neck and shoulders. So I specialize in tension headache relief. So if you're someone who suffers from like upper traps, like neck tightness and head pain, I can really help you find some relief there. And like you said, facelift cupping. I like to call it a facelift massage because someone pointed out to me, Jessica actually, who was on this show, she pointed out to me that when she hears face cupping, she thinks those cupping marks that are left
Oh,
behind that you see. And I was like, no, 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 you don't get those at all. And she's like, oh, because you always say facelift cupping, and that's what I think of. I think of those marks. I'm like, oh no, no, like you don't typically get those. That's not the norm. The cups they're pulling up your skin and you're gliding. So it's pulling everything up. And what it does is it stimulates collagen production. It brings blood flow. It smooths and tones everything out, and your face looks fantastic afterwards. And I also do dry brushing and hot stones and just as many spa things as I can. I'm in a really small space right now. I'm looking for a bigger space. Once I have a bigger space, I can do more body treatments and things like that.
well, I'm so excited that I was given an opportunity to introduce you to hopefully a few more people.
I'm happy to be introduced. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much. I love talking to you too.
And what I was thinking, I always have these ideas at the end of a show because I get to meet somebody new who is educated and has all of these great tools that we can share with other women. I bought a little cupping thing on Amazon, and
Mhm.
it had two little like squishy devices. Yours are very
Yeah.
fancy glass and they're beautiful.
Yeah. It was like those
And
traffic cone looking things.
yes, yes, it looks like a
Yeah.
traffic cone.
Yeah.
So what I thought was really what I liked is that what I thought was cupping and what I found out was cupping through you were night and day. My two little
Oh,
spongy
nice.
things, they
Yeah.
do a little bit.
It helps. It helps
It helps.
though for every
But it
day.
also
Yeah.
the practice is there, right?
Yeah.
It's like it makes me present. I wanted to move fluid and puffiness around the eyes. So I would love maybe we could do a little mini, like 15-minute episode where you could talk at in depth about the cupping process for the
Mhm.
facelift and
Mhm.
what it does. And then maybe you could give us one or two little practices that we could
Okay.
do with our inexpensive little squeezy things that we
Little
buy at
squeezy,
Amazon for
little traffic cones.
$14.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then, get into, because I would much rather do that. I would much rather invest in a natural, holistic way to improve my complexion and to look a little bit younger. Although, screw the whole, and I mean, screw it, the whole anti aging thing, aging
Mhm.
gracefully, bullshit. I got 60 years. I want 70. I want 80. I want the
Yeah.
world to know it. I have laugh lines and smile lines because I
Mhm.
lived. And I'm not
Yeah.
worried about that. But I would like to, add a little bit of self-confidence and do all those things. And then the other thing is I am a huge fan of daily dry brushing. And there's a lot of different perspectives out there on what dry
Mhm.
brushing should look like and what it
Mhm.
does. And I would love to do a mini episode on dry brushing and why you think it's so important, how you bring it into your practice, how you do it, and how women can, do. I mean, we can never going to someone like you means my back gets dry brushed, means all the spots that I really can't get to
Yeah.
on a regular basis get the love and attention that they need. But
Mm-hmm.
I would assume that the more little things that I do on my own before I come and visit you allows you
Yeah.
to actually get in deeper and
Yeah. My
and
treatments are going to
really
be more
move it.
effective. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'll be able to
So,
accomplish more. Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I would love to
That's
do
what I
that
do.
in the future if you're
Okay.
open to it.
Sure.
Could you share where everybody could find you? Where are you on
Oh, yeah.
LinkedIn, on Instagram,
Oh,
and all of the
yeah.
things?
So I'm on Facebook at Zen Moms Massage, Instagram, the same Zen Moms Massage. You can find me on LinkedIn at my name, Lisa Okichich. You can find me at my website and you can book appointments there as well, zenmomsmassagetherapy.com. And my practice is in Homework Glen. So if you're near there, then that's you can find me.
I can highly recommend it. You
Oh,
definitely want to
thank
go
you.
if you're in the area. I would even drive an hour. I mean, like, it is
Oh,
so worth it. And for those of you who don't know me or are just learning about Ditch the Dogma and who I am, my name is Paula Marie Davis, and I invite women to look at wellness different. I call myself a wellness rebel. I want you to finally stop checking boxes, stop doing what your sister does or your girlfriend does, and really figure out what it is that you're supposed to do by listening to your body, your ultimate guide. If you want to learn more about me, you can go to ditchthedogma.com. You can go to the YouTube channel, my name, Paula Marie Davis, or Ditch the Dogma. And every once in a while, I'm on social media on LinkedIn and on Instagram, and I'm trying to be a little bit more regular on those things. I also have a membership. If you are a woman who is really trying to find your bespoke, personalized approach to wellness, that's actually a journey focused on longevity, not food rules and scales and all of that, then find out about the Seek membership at buymeacoffee.com. I also work with wellness professionals who want to do things like this. They want to go live. They want to they want to find out how to get their message out, do a little bit more on Canva, do things low budget, bootstrap it, that kind of a thing. So if you're interested in either one of those, go to buymeacoffee.com. Thank you, Lisa, for being here today.
thank
And
you.
I will see you all next Wednesday at 1:30.
Okay,
See
bye,
ya.
Paula. Thank you.
Bye-bye.